Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're jumping into a question that, let's be honest, probably keeps a lot of parents up at night. How do you protect your child without holding them back? You know, it's this constant tightrope walk between control and trust, and we're going to break down how you can find that balance.
All right, let's dive right in with a question that's, well, it's a bit of a gut check. Take a second and really think about this. Are you guiding your child toward their future, or are you actually just guarding your own fears about their future? It's a really tough one to answer honestly, but it's the perfect place for us to start.
And look, this isn't just some abstract idea. This is a real, painful question from a mother named Savitri. She felt like she did everything right. She planned his education, his career, you name it, all from a place of deep love. But when he grew up and moved away for a job, he just pulled away. Her story is this powerful and frankly all too common example of a trap so many of us can fall into without even realizing it. Okay, so this really gets to the core challenge of parenting, especially as our kids get older. Think about it like this. When they're little, you are their guardian, right? You're holding their hand across a busy street. But as they grow, that role has to change. You have to shift from being a guardian to being a guide, the person they trust enough to ask for directions when they feel lost on their own journey. It's a huge, huge shift.
And this is a mindset shift that can honestly change everything. You are not the owner of your child's life. You are a steward. You're kind of like a gardener. Your job isn't to decide what kind of flower they'll be, but to provide the right conditions, the sun, the water, the support, so they can grow strong roots and flourish all on their own.
So, what happens when fear, and not that sense of stewardship, is in the driver's seat? Well, we fall into these really predictable traps. Let's dig into the first one. It's a path that is absolutely paved with good intentions, but it can, surprisingly, lead to a dead end in your relationship. You know, on the surface, this approach looks like parenting perfection, doesn't it? You're deeply involved, you're planning ahead, you're swooping in to rescue them from every possible mistake. It feels like you're giving them absolutely everything. But are you? Really? Well, here's the twist. The unintended consequence you see right here. When we overcontrol, we're not actually teaching our kids how to be resilient. We're teaching them how to be dependent. They get so afraid of messing up, and maybe even more, of disappointing us, that they learn to hide parts of their lives. Or worse, they just stop trying new things altogether. Okay, so that's one side of the coin. Now let's flip it over and look at the polar opposite. What happens when we swing too far in the other direction? Here, the problem isn't a grip that's too tight. It's one that's so loose our kids can end up feeling completely untethered. This is that free-range parenting style we hear about. And on paper, it sounds great. Autonomy, privacy, respect. What's not to love? But if all that freedom isn't anchored to a solid, reliable emotional connection, it's like sending your child out to sea in a boat with no rudder. They're totally free, but they're also completely adrift. And the result of this, it's heartbreakingly lonely. Can you imagine having all the freedom in the world, but feeling like you have absolutely no one to call when things get tough? That's what it feels like. They learn to struggle, and they learn to do it in silence. So what we're really looking at here are two sides of the very same coin. In the over-control trap, control gets mistaken for care. And in the over-freedom trap, distance gets mistaken for support. Both start from a place of love, but both, unfortunately, can miss the mark and leave our kids feeling deeply disconnected. So the big question is, how do we get out of these traps? Well, this table lays it out beautifully. If you're someone who leans toward over-control, try this one simple shift. Swap your instructions for genuine questions. Instead of, you need to do this, try asking, what are your thoughts on how to handle this? And if you lean toward over-freedom, try initiating an emotional check-in, just because. Not to fix anything, just to listen. So, what's the goal then? Where's that sweet spot? The thing is, it's not really about finding some mythical, perfect balance between control and freedom. It's about building something much deeper, much stronger, a secure attachment. It's a bond that's strong enough to give your child both roots to ground them and wings to fly. And this, right here, might be the most freeing thing you'll hear all day. You do not have to be a perfect parent. In fact, your kids don't need you to be. What they really truly need is a secure parent, a safe place to land when they fall, a reliable emotional anchor in the storms of life. And that is something you can absolutely be. Okay, so how do we actually do that?
How do we become that secure parent? Let's walk through the first 5 principles. I want you to notice the powerful shift in each one. It's about moving from doing to your child to being with your child. It's consciously choosing to offer trust instead of demanding control, and showing curiosity about their world instead of just passing judgment on it. And here are the next 5. And wow, these are the ones that really change the game. Seeing their mistakes not as failures, but as crucial opportunities to learn. Making their emotional safety your #1 priority. And maybe the biggest one of all, loving them for who they are, not for what they do. This is the foundation that strong, lasting relationships are built on.
So as we start to wrap this up, what's the real end game? What are we actually aiming for? It's not about ticking boxes or raising a successful kid by some external standard. It's about building a relationship that's going to last a lifetime, long after they've flown the coop.
You see, here's the big paradox of parenting, isn't it? The tighter you grip, the more they often need to pull away. So letting go, that's not abandonment. It is the ultimate expression of confidence. It's your way of saying, I trust the person you are becoming, and I trust the bond that we have built together.
So when you think about it, your job isn't to be a helicopter hovering over their every move. It's to be a lighthouse, a steady, reliable beacon of love that they can always, always use to find their way back home, no matter how stormy the seas of life get.
And that really leaves us with one last question for you to take with you. What's one small thing you can do, maybe even today, to make your heart an even safer harbor for them to return to?